Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Welcome to yet another episode. Today I would like to talk to you about something that has came across while I was building this, and I would like to go in depth about it, and so you can also gain some knowledge. People have asked me, why did I go with this platform? Why the N20? Why didn't I do a K swap or a M55 swap or a B48 swap? Or for that matter, why not just buy a M240 and call it a day? I mean, all of them, all of those questions are valid. And the only problem with that is people who are afraid of taking a leap of doing something they've never done before. If you want to achieve something in your life and you want to get great results, you have to step out of your comfort zone and go do something you never done before. So let's talk about why did I choose the N20. The simple answer is that I already had this car. I don't have another car. And it just came to the right moment that working on the car that I already have will make things easier for me. It will help to get things done a lot quicker than getting and buy another car and try to learn about that platform and stuff like that. I already gained experience working with N20, and I wanted to see why people don't want to work on N20. Everywhere when you see the build, all I've seen, if the motor goes out or the timing chain goes out, they don't even want to bother on opening the motor. They will just go get a motor from the scrapyard and do the swap and call it a day. That's not what I wanted to do. I reached 100,000 miles, and a lot of people get scared about 100,000 miles, myself included. I was scared. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen after 100 miles? What's going to happen after 100,000 miles? And you know what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The car was still strong. I didn't have any timing chain issue. Nothing. The car was holding up very, very good. So I wanted to get more power on this car. You notice that before we went with taking down the motor, the last power mode that I did was to install the water methanol injection. Unfortunately, I didn't get a time to tune for the water methanol injection because as we were doing it, the turbo just went out. And I had to buy a new turbo. I bought the new turbo, and when I bought that turbo, I started having issues. I couldn't get into boost at all. I couldn't get the boost targets. Was it the turbo? I couldn't get the boost target. So it was going to be a waste on tuning for math while we can't even reach the boost targets. We were targeting 80. Myself and the tuner, we were targeting 18 psi, but the max we were getting was 12. 12 psi was the max we're getting with the aftermarket turbo that I get. I honestly didn't know what was causing it. Why was I not getting into boost? So instead of me going into troubleshooting further and further and further, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just pull the plug. And I was on the fence of either doing a B48 swap. Yes, I literally wanted to do a B48 swap, or to do a N55 swap. Yes, I didn't want to buy a motor. I didn't want to buy another car. I wanted to buy a car and do the swap. So after a lot of research, figuring out what would have been the best way of doing this, and I came across of BMW wiki made by Navadi June Harry. I came across that wiki. I was reading that wiki through, and it turns out you can push more power with this N20 by knowing what you are doing. Or if you really get people who want to work on the car, they can work on it and they can help you. I don't know why do I keep getting that car. For what it worth, I don't blame anybody who have asked me those questions. I actually love them asking me those questions. They are valid questions because there isn't much information out there regarding building an N20. The only place where you would find people talking about the N20, honestly, it's only Navardi Tune community. There isn't anyone else talks about N20. There isn't anyone else that really built a N20. You do your full bolt on, you call it a build. Screw that. Well, I'm not talking that. It's okay for people who do that. There is nothing wrong with people who do that. I myself did that. I did a bolt on. I pretty much did a full bolt on, including the 2 and the boot mode 3 OTS map. I did that. I did a boot mode 3 console map. I did that. But that was not that is not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on a build, professional build, with what we achieved on this platform. And I am glad that I literally have full series on what have been gone through building this motor. It's a shame that the block that I got, I couldn't go to the full potential of it, but regardless, people now know what they have to do. If you get a good block, you'll be really well off. I mentioned earlier there were quite a few example or quite a few routes I would have taken: F55 swap, B48 swap, or perhaps do a B58 swap. There were two swaps that I was leaning toward to: N55 and B48. Sorry, N55 and B58 swap. Why I didn't do a B58 swap is I was scared of a space. I thought the space will not fit this the 6-cylinder. And another thing is the transmission. I thought this transmission is not compatible with B58. But when you really look at it, the manual transmission, I look at the torque limiter for the manual 6-speed manual transmission on this platform can go up to 470 newton meters. So I'm already close to 500 newton meters, and that is the power goal I was targeting as I started building this motor, is anything that will surpass 500. And this transmission, I'm sure, could have handled the power of either B58 or N55. Now, doing the N55 would have also been very good because there are a lot of parts that you can use on N55, and you can also use them on N20. So N55 wouldn't have been an issue. Again, there also, I thought doing the N55 swap would have been a nightmare than just doing the N20 build. And the first step that I took was actually to go on the closed deck for this one. And I did mention it in one of the episodes, which I'm going to link in the description as well. I first opted to go for a semi-closed deck. I started working on semi-closed deck. I failed. And that's why you never even saw that episode, because it was a complete failure. And I started messing up with the block, and I got so frustrated because I didn't have the proper tools to do the semi-closed deck with the N20. And that's why I went with the closed deck, and all that information was available. And it's not something that is available on YouTube other than my channel and also the other channel from Navardi Tune Harry. Pretty much, if you really look at the N20 build in today's search, if you don't get into Navardi Tune's videos, you will find my videos. We pretty much only the only people who really went to the extent on showing you people what you can do. So that's one of the reasons why I went with the N20, because I already had it, and it just made sense for me to work on what I have right away rather than trying to find trouble. It would have been, to be honest, it would have been sick to do a N55 swap, because pretty much everything would have worked. The harness wouldn't have been a big problem with the harness, and everything else is just plug and play on the ECU. I will get the N55 ECU and then put it there. We golden. And the only problem I would have also faced with the N55 swap is the tune. So I was looking at the cost. Either doing the N55 swap would have been a cost effective, rather than doing the N20, rather than the N20 build. But turns out, after I went through my spreadsheets, and that video is coming out, how much it cost me to build all this, and I am going to share the labor costs and every other things that I did. I know for sure there are other miscellaneous things that I didn't put on the spreadsheet, but the major things are there. Doing the B48 swap or the B46 swap would have also been sick, because it was going to limit me from going to the machine shop. And if you're looking at this, picture, which I am going to show you in a bit, this picture is a closed deck from factory. B48, B46 already comes closed deck. So we already would have shoved off $1,500 for this. You see, it's already a closed deck, which is sick. Really sick with this one. The next thing we're going to do is literally just to get the forge internals for the B48. You see where I'm going with this, right? So that's another trajectory I would have gone. Now, if we have gotten the forge internal and we put it on a B48, all right, and get that money we spent for the closed deck process, which actually in today's since I am talking, which actually now that I'm talking about this, it's a waste right now, because we didn't even use that block, and that block is still sitting in the garage and I have to work on it. So the resource that we allocated for the closed deck conversion on the N20 would have gone to probably get an adapter, a B48 adapter to this transmission, and I would have just 3D designed it, and it would have just worked perfectly. And I would have get that resource allocation and put it toward getting either another transmission, a minor transmission that is compatible, or I would have gotten another flywheel and do an adapter for this transmission to the B48. But you notice that it was going to be more work than going the path of just building the N20 and converting the N20 to a closed deck and call it a day. That's the reason I decided to go with the N20 build rather than doing the swap of either N55 or doing a swap with a B48 or doing a swipe of B58. That's the main reason I didn't want to go with that swap rather than doing a field build. Doing a case swap would have been even more work, because with a case swap I have to work on the transmission mount, figure out where to put the transmission and how it's going to sit on. I have to work on a aftermarket ECU, and that would have been goodbye to boot mode 3 and my license. I already have a boot mode 3 license, and I would have to figure out how to sell that. And I knew that the aftermarket sale of our license, it's not good at all. You lose a lot. It pretty much just costs the same as buying a new. I don't see the need. I mean, if I'm giving you my boot mode 3 license, why do I have to get a discount on that? Because you're literally just getting a full platform. It's not something that people would think that they have to give you less for that license. So all of those trouble, I decided to, hold it and not to go through that route. I'd rather go on the route of what can I do with what I have right now? What are the possible ways? What are the possible allocation on working on this motor N20? Everything that I did, you can replicate it regardless whether you're building a K series, you're building a B series, you're building a a B58 series. You know what you want to achieve. For example, if you want to go big turbo, there is no one, honestly, honestly, beside me and other people that I know and Project Random. These three people are the only people who have gone big turbo, aftermarket turbo, not a plug and play, not a bolt-on turbo, but those Garrett type of like the G series turbo. We are the only people who have gone that route. Well, people that I know who have built an N20 to that extent. And I'm proud of it, to be honest. I'm proud of it. And I've shared the information what turbo works. So if you ever want to learn anything on rebuilding a car, I am more than happy and I'm more than capable of telling people what works and what doesn't work. I am driving this car. You have seen. I am driving this car. I haven't had any issues since I assembled this, and I'm proud of telling for anything BMW N20 building this engine, I have to say I put my name on it, and I can tell there are things that work and there are things that don't work, and I can tell you exactly which route to go. For example, if you are working on just your full bolt-on, keep your boost low. If you want to blow up and you want to damage your turbo, go ahead and up the boost. And that OEM turbo is so fragile, like I just lost it. I didn't even expect it to go right, but it happened. It is what it is. So beside that, honestly, there is nothing wrong on working on this platform, the N20. There is nothing wrong with it. You can literally achieve greatness. So with that, I hope I answered your questions and I hope this was informative. The next is to still get the leak that I have on the turbo, and maybe next year I will do the manifold. That is definitely the next thing I'm gonna do. Everything that I learned that is not available out there is on my store. I do have a store. There are a few things that I am sharing with you people so you can use. The B58 adapters, I have a full set that I have that on my store. I have a flange adapter for your oil catch can, which you can connect to AN10 fitting. Very good. You don't see anything of that for the N20 platform. All of them, they are bulky, they look awful, and I don't like them, and that's why I went with this. The oil cooler, I'm not selling anything about the oil cooler, but the solution with the oil cooler, use the improved racing thermostat oil cooling. It works wonders. I've been running it for a very long time, and I'm proud to say that is the only best tool I can recommend when it's come to working with the cooling system on this N20. It works great. The previous episode I showed you how I connected the cooler, where I placed it, and how you connect it. I have a full installation guide how you install the improved racing thermostat or cooler thermostat. Go look at that, and on top of that, a full series of building the N20, what you can expect and how you can achieve what I have achieved. Thank you for sticking in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.